name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight's guest is Max Bendich, my dad.
How are you, my darling son?
Not bad. How you doing?
Really, I'm doing fine.
Good.
Everything.
So yesterday we had some fun, right?
Alan, we had fun, a lot of it.
Right. So yesterday we shot the third episode of season 2 of Scriptless MD, whatever, Scriptless, and we also did some pickup shots from the first season because we realized when we were editing that we were missing one scene that was critical. And we did that in like 90-degree weather outside. And you had all your fans outside watching, right?
That's right.
You were sitting in one bench talking to Jim, right, who plays Detective Kazak, and you were sitting together doing your lines, and there must have been about 15 people, right? There were people who work in the place you live. There were ladies coming up. Max, you're going to be in a show? That's good.
But also, that I'm not worried about, but the technology of it. All of a sudden they'd stop, they'd hear an airplane going through, or one of the real trucks who was supposed to go only 30, 25, run about 50 miles
But
an
the
hour.
other thing, we had an ambulance or a fire engine. It was either ambulance or fire engine. It was an ambulance.
Even though it was an ambulance,
Right.
it's the fire department that really does it.
But but there was noise. There was the alarm.
There was a lot of, but
And it was weird. There's a lot of planes, and it's in the Bronx. But they were like these. It was the kind of planes because it's next to the Harlem River or whatever it is. What river is that? That's the East
Hudson River.
No, the Hudson River's on the west side.
On the west side.
So this is the East River. So it's between Manhattan and the Bronx. And there were a lot of these small planes, that actually I think some of them looked like they could land on the water. But anyway, you were asking me before about, how did it all begin, right?
That's right.
And it is interesting about Scriptless, right? But even this show is interesting because we've done like over 100 episodes.
But you told me your father-in-law.
Right, about that stuff. But this show, I've told that many times, but this one, I remember you started acting a few years ago, and I had to schlep you from where you live to the auditions, and it was nice, but it was taking a lot of time. We'd do it at night. I was working full time, and
that's right.
And then try to do these shows, and then bringing you to auditions. And I just remember one day I was shaving, and I was thinking, what could I do so you could act, because you wanted to. You were 98 years old when we started doing the show. 98. What could I do so you could act and not have to audition? And I just came up with an idea after we had already done a couple of seasons of this show, The Way to Go. And I went up to Dina first and then to Eric, and we talked about it, and they said, why not give it a shot? So what I did was I came up with the concept of a scriptless show, and I was trying to figure out, and then the name Scriptless came up, because I figured I'm going to be the producer, the writer. I want to act in it. I want you to act in it. And I want to be able to do this on a monthly basis. So I don't even know if I'm really, I've never done screenwriting. So I figured I've done other shows that were improv style. So why not try and do improv, right?
And the whole thing, Alan, it takes time.
Right.
You have to be here at a certain time. It can't be more or less. It has to be combined where you put two things together.
Right.
And
well, we did have a storyline, but I remember the original show that we did, the first show, was based on a show that you did when you were in the senior center, and it was called The Prodigal Son.
Yes.
And so I wound up getting in touch with two actors, a guy named Greg Kritikos, who I'd worked on a show with, and Noah Forrest, who now is in The Making of the Mob. He's playing in The Making of the Mob, Carlo Gambino. I mean, it's like one of the key spots, and it's on AMC TV right now. But I went to Noah and I had played in a couple of shows. One show was this comedy mobster show called Stu Nods, and he was very good, and he helped me out. He's a very accomplished actor, and no one plays a tough guy better than Noah. So he became Sam. Now who's Sam? Sam is my brother. You were the father. You play Max. And Sam is, and I'm the dutiful son. I'm there, I'm working hard, and Sam comes back to town, you know? And he's trying to get his inheritance, you know, get back into the family. He blew all his money. He comes back with his girlfriend. The girlfriend says she's pregnant. It's an interesting, and it worked, right? I mean, what?
Alan, why am I laughing?
Yeah, why are you?
I'm sure we talked about it before.
Yeah.
Just imagine me. I'm in a senior center,
Right.
and someone how we got there, we didn't know. How about doing the prodigal son?
Right.
All right. Now, how did we go about it?
Right.
We had a background right near the ladies' bathroom,
Right.
and we put on a paper, and we had some beautiful artists. And what did they do? They put a scene, a wonderful, quiet scene of the land that I own, and you see cows, really cows walking. Alan, it was wonderful.
Right.
And here I am with a beard. We found a wig, and I turned it. I turned it, right. And they like it. And
And you wrote it.
Right, but I don't remember.
You did. You wrote the screen. You wrote
right. But another thing, I found a sheet.
Right.
We had to tear the sheet open. And I put it over me, and that was my. And
That was your
with
costume.
a tassel.
Right.
And I was the father of the prodigal son.
Right.
And he came over to me, and he said, "Pop, look, you made me what I am today," and whatever the word, I'm joking, and I want to be on my way. I would like to have my inheritance. Right. Oh, he was supposed to get married.
Right.
The girl was there, so he gets his inheritance, and he goes away.
Right.
Now, just around a senior center, everything good, and we actually almost forget about him, and all of a sudden, a person who does, he goes with camels and with everything else, and he says, "You know, I saw your son. He has money over his head. He has women. He has everything."
Right.
And I said, "Fine." And a little while later, he comes back again. "Well, tell me about my son, Alan, the prodigal son," the same thing. And he said, "You didn't hear? He lost everything.
Right.
He's in tatters." And while we are talking, one of my workers comes running over to me. Master, there's a beggar coming down the road."
Yeah. And that's.
And when that beggar came around, and we knew that he was my son.
It was the prodigal son.
And I took him around. Alan, those senior citizens.
I know they were crying. You thought.
were crying. Alan, Alan, who knew about these things? Acting? But Alan, they were actually crying. Not only
now
that,
we cry if people make mistakes on the set. No, not again. Right.
There it is.
I know.
Things don't go away.
That's it.
And
So I came up with the concept of the prodigal son for Scriptless because you had done the prodigal son in your senior center 20 years ago or whatever.
That's right.
Maybe 30 years ago.
whatever it is.
And so I knew it was a good story. And it evolved into a different type of story because then I brought, actually Greg Kritikos was in the second episode, but the first episode was basically Sam, the brother comes back. And at that point, but basically the people I got were people that I worked with. Every actor came on the show, and they were actors. They had been in movies. They had been, worked on TV, whatever, and they had worked with me. And in the beginning, I'd say for the first 5 or 6 episodes, or maybe the first 5 episodes, almost every actor that was on a set I had worked with. So it was easy for me to cast them. And then I relied on JT basically to cast other people because and JT is our casting director, John Thomas. But the story evolved, and how do I do the story, the story process? At least with The Prodigal Son, I was thinking about it a while, and I had a storyboard or whatever, but I didn't have shot lists. That was one thing that Louis Simons, who was our cinematographer, got us involved in. So I did shot lists, so I knew exactly what shots and what numbered shots and all this stuff. But it was an interesting concept. But I would shoot once a month, and for the first 3 weeks of the, up to the month, I would say, what am I going to write about? Where's the story? And usually I'd come up with the story in the last week, and then send the storylines to the camera people and to the editor, and and I directed it too, which was interesting. So I don't know. It's been interesting. And then about episode 7 is when I met this guy Jim Fulliter, and now he's like my partner in crime in terms of, and he's the guy that plays Kazak. He's worked with you, right? What do you think of Jim?
He's unbelievable.
Right.
He's Dr. Kazak.
Right. And he's also Detective Kazak. He was Detective Kazak
over there.
in
Words, the man of authority.
Yes.
And here's the man of authority.
Yeah.
And if you remember what I came to him, I said, look, the first time I've seen you, you have given me wonderful, why not? He looks the part.
Oh, yeah, he looks like he played a detective in Scriptless the first season. Now he's playing a doctor. And I mean, even if we fast forward to what happened yesterday, we were doing a group therapy session in your house, and he sounded like a psychologist, right?
That's really, and here I'm trying to get a word in on something, but finally, but I was Alan. I was watching him. Right. Of all of them, he was dignity. Yes. He was everything that he was supposed to be.
Right.
And he had the voice and the
authority.
It was the effect of being a psychiatrist. Alan.
Right. Yeah. And even his girlfriend was on the set, Jessica, and I think she even questioned. She said, I didn't know you knew that. You sounded just like a psychologist. He was asking the right questions.
She came in a little later,
Right.
But Alan, it's a scary thing.
Right.
You think you're talking to the doctor.
That's right. He could probably put a shingle outside his door and get patients. It's true. I mean, he was really good. But it's all interesting. And I see the future. You had asked earlier, like, when will Scriptless, what happens when it ends? I don't see it ending. There's no reason for it to end. There's also new actors that came in. We had 3 new girls, 3 new actresses, excuse me, who came to the set. Actually 4, and they had never worked on Scriptless before, and they were great. I think they all played. No. Those 4 ladies played. They were excellent.
But not again. I've seen it go higher. I've never seen them before.
Right.
And I was wondering, how do you get people?
Well, okay. What happens is,
I think it's interesting, but
again, most of the time I get new actors.
Yes.
Through that's one of the please drink. That's what casting directors are for, and we actually have a casting director. His name is John Thomas. So, what happened was, we call him JT. What happened was we were supposed to have a location. We were trying to get a bar location for this for this episode, and Matt Jade, who is one of the producers and who basically produces, he works with me because he gets me locations. JT, who gets me cast. These people were both trying to look for a location, and they couldn't find a location. And I'm thinking, oh my God, am I going to have to call up, to say we don't have a location? I wanted to shoot. I desperately wanted to shoot. And I just said, you know what? I was thinking about, even if we didn't get the location at the bar, he's a psychologist. I mean, he's playing a psychologist. Why not have a group therapy session? Get a whole bunch of psychos together and sit together with them and just see, and just, it's supposed to be comedic a little bit. So to try to get some funny aspect of it. I mean, like my character is like really looking to be an energized accountant, So it was interesting. And the whole thing is that I came in very skeptical about whether the episode would be good. And then all of a sudden, when each person had their scene, it was like one person was better than the next in terms of demonstrating that they were nuts. You know what I mean?
And the way you were look, again, not because of you, my son and anything, the way you were directing it, it actually made sure of one thing.
Yes.
They have to fit in. The fitting, that's the whole thing.
Right.
The fitting in over here, the fitting in over here.
Right.
And I'm realizing that.
Right.
It has to come, it has to mesh.
I wasn't doing it alone. Jim and I were doing it. We worked together.
That's right.
And also the camera people. Our cinematographer Matt Bilzog and Andrew, our cameraman. We were working as a team to do this thing, and it was a lot of fun. It was, and I honestly felt at the end, I said, wow, this is a lot better than I expected it. I didn't think it was going to come off as good as it was. But the thing was, even with somebody like the girl that played the bipolar girl, one moment she's laughing, the next minute she's crying. And the girl that was afraid to be touched because she had some issues of being she had been abused in the past, and she's making you almost want to cry. And I go over like this, and she says, "Don't touch me." So it's like, but in a way, it's both sad and happy at the same time. And
for some people,
yes,
I'm serious. Just the idea of touching kills them.
right. That's why that was her character. That's that was specifically
see?
that was the whole thing for her character. The other character was a girl who's saying, "I'm beautiful." Right?
Yeah, that girl was
And
sitting
I told her that's what I wanted
She was
the character.
sitting next to me. I'm a beautiful. Oh, how about that other one sitting opposite me on the other chair?
Yeah.
I like to go out with older men.
And she's looking at me. But what was supposed to happen with that scene was I was going to go and try. They tell me to move away from her. That was one thing. Dr. Kazak said, move away from her because I was responding to her comment about how she liked older men. Ultimately, what she was supposed to do, but it didn't happen. She was supposed to come next to you.
I thought so.
That was
Now,
but we never got to that point.
Alan, I thought, and I almost tried to fit myself, Alan. I couldn't get there. I tried.
But we were running out of time, and also the ladies had a 3 o'clock. They had to stop because they had to go to another. They had something that they had to do at 4:30, an audition, because these are actresses, and they're doing this for nothing.
Yes.
So, but they like doing it, and they want to do it again, which is nice. It's the one thing about scriptless. I would say 98% of the people want to come back. They're hoping that you're going to ask them to come back.
In other words, they're getting a chance to act.
Or whatever, they're enjoying themselves.
And
they're getting...
They know it, they're getting a chance to act, and it's going to be in front of people.
Right, well, it's going to be on TV, which is great, and it's also going to be streaming live everywhere.
Yeah.
So we have people in Cyprus that watch it. We have people in Greece that watch it. And, how do we know? Because of Krissa, another person. Now, Krissa, she was the one who, she plays Eva. She wasn't there yesterday, but she's been in every episode that we've done. And I've worked with her on 2 different projects. And she used to be a pop star in Cyprus and in Greece, big star. She came to the United States, and now she lives in Astoria, which has a very big Greek population. And she sings, last weekend she was in Boston doing concerts up in Boston. And she sings, she's a Greek, pop artist. So, but she's great. And I mean, we have a core group of actors.
That is another thing. That's what I realized. How is it possible? Strangers,
Right.
Alan, strangers. Even I'm strangers to. We get along beautifully.
Well, everybody's trying to do the same thing. I mean, it's like we have a common goal, and the goal is the show, and that's it. The people who are no longer on the show, basically, or not, maybe not in total, but some of the people who aren't on the show are people who are only concerned only about themselves. Because the way I direct and the way I write the story is I try to give everyone a moment in the spotlight. In other words, anybody who works on the show is going to have their time, a good amount of time, a good amount of scenes. Because to me, these people are giving their time. I don't want to have the spotlight always on one person. I want to make sure that everyone has a shot at the spotlight.
And the script, even though
No
the
script.
I know it, and even though there's no script,
Right, there's a story.
It's a story. It's a story, and that's what I'm trying.
Right.
You use the wrong word.
No, it's okay.
And that's the story has a beginning, has a middle, and that's.
Yeah, but the issue usually comes when we're doing it. It does have a beginning and it does have a middle, but the problem a lot of times is if we don't know where we're going to end, then we don't have an ending, and that's a situation. Sometimes it goes on too long, but I'd rather it go on too long than to go on too short because. Again, I edit at least I sit in on editing, and I have my suggestions to Jim. Jim does the editing, but I see what happens. It's so much better to have more than less because you could always cut it down.
That's right.
And the beauty of having 2 cameras is one camera's on you, one camera's on me. If you cut what I'm saying, you have the camera on you, so you don't see any breaks in the.
And the expression "dead air."
Yeah.
Alan,
Well, there's no dead air if you're editing. I mean, you can take care of the dead air, which is the good thing. It's only live TV like this that you might get.
Again,
dead
that
air.
expression, and it lingers every time. It lingers in my mind.
Right.
If there's a conversation and I'm part of it, I have to make sure that I'm part of it.
Right, but the whole thing is, it has to be meaningful, what you're saying. You know, I mean,
naturally.
you don't talk for the sake of blocking out dead air. I'm not saying that you do that, but it's interesting. We have very intelligent actors, and like, I was amazed at Noah. I mean, I had a good time with Noah yesterday. I mean, I could see, whenever he comes up with stuff that is always powerful, and he always plays a tough guy. It's just, it's fascinating. So you want to keep on staying on the show, right? I mean, this is something that's a pleasure for you.
Did I ever give you any kind of input about how about it?
Yeah.
Or I just followed what I am told.
Right.
And I think that I am doing it correctly.
Right, and the thing, you know, like another thing is that there's a couple of twists and turns in this year's script. Again, the only reason I do it, again, is for you to have it, and I'm also having fun. I mean, it's something to do, and it's something that, it seems like everybody, you know, Matt's enjoying it, Andrew's enjoying it, and I think it's a little bit different than most of the shows that we have on the station. So it's, because who else is going to be crazy enough to go all over the place, you know, trying to, you know, I mean, it's...
I'm wondering, when I come back, think about it, why did I ever say to you, yes, I want to act?
Dad, you've always been a ham. You didn't. No, why did you say? You know the answer to that question. I mean, when we were in Hollywood, take some more water, please. When we were in Hollywood, when I lived in Hollywood, you'd come to visit, and you always wanted to be on the set. You know.
No, I even went into some of the shows.
Right. Yeah, but you would always come in. Mom would always come in. We had you as, even though you were only an extra when you'd come visit, you still were on the sets. And I know, you know, you got a chance to talk to the actors, you talked to the people, the crew, and
Alan, part of my life, I loved it.
Right.
First of all, I never even knew I was going to ever go to California.
Right.
But by luck, I had my brother in Arizona.
Right.
So I would visit my brother in Arizona,
Right.
and naturally, we went right over there.
Right, to visit. And you were on game shows, and you did a lot of, you've always been a ham. There was never a camera that you didn't pose for, you know, or whatever. So.
Alan, I'm positive. There wasn't a time I didn't pose. What a thing to say to me.
No, but it's true. But
it's
I mean,
the truth, Alan.
because you've always been confident, and you've always, you like to tell stories. You know, you like to tell your story. You've been doing that on this show for a couple of years already.
Wait, how about blaming somebody else? Mom.
What about it?
She allowed me to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
And she saw that I must have been enjoying. No, I'm serious, Alan, without Mom.
Well, you know, the other thing, I mean, you could say that, but you worked 6 days a week. Mom worked 7 days a week. So, I mean, but I do remember, even when you were working 6 days a week, you'd still go to play bridge once a week.
Yes.
You always did. You worked very hard, but you also had outlets to enjoy yourself. And that was something that, you know, I was amazed, because you were a laborer. Even though you owned your business, it was hard labor. But yet, you know, a few times a week, you'd go out and do things with the buddies. You'd play bridge. Not with Mom. You'd go out, right?
I still say, we don't, Mom is part of it. Even though we don't talk about it, even though we don't, Mom has been always part of it.
What, about Scriptless?
Too bad.
No, actually, we talk about her on the show. You know, we talk about Mom. You know, that we wish, like in one scene, one episode, which will be coming out not this month, but next month. There's a scene where we talk about when you meet your grandson, and you say, "Boy, if only Mom was here." You know, you say, "I don't." Yeah, typical. You know, I didn't want to say anything, but if only Mom was here, she would love to see him. You know.
But because if you remember, we decided, and I decided. I said, "Look, Mom died,
right.
which our lives changed completely."
Right.
And it was the right thing to say,
right.
because everyone wanted to hear it, because it wasn't, and it happened. That's how it happened. And again, who was I at that time to say things like that?
Right.
Because when I hear people, you know, where I am now, and they don't even know how to express themselves.
Right.
And Alan.
Yeah, but you know, I'll tell you, I had part of, even though it was the last part of the shooting yesterday was a little rough.
Yes.
Watching the ladies in their walkers coming up to you with these big smiles on their faces, like, Max, you're doing a great job, Max. What's this? Is it a television show? What is that? You know, it was like,
trying to, Alan, that's it.
this guy comes over, wants to sit next to you. You say, we're shooting something here. That was that guy. Remember, there was a guy that came over to try to sit next to you, but it was. But we had like an audience watching the scene.
We had Alan. We had not only that, we had an audience that didn't even see it. Right. They were told what was happening. So,
right.
And I would meet them in the elevator. When are we going to this? Please tell me. Why didn't you tell me? Maybe I would have been outside. Alan, I'm not. This is what all those people had to do was to talk about.
And what did they call you there? The actor.
No. And they also call me.
Yeah, but they talk. I mean, I've been there. They call you the actor.
The actor.
Don't they?
That's right.
There
Alan.
it is.
Not only you know the I don't know what the word in the front desk.
Security.
The security love me.
I know.
Why? If anything is, I'm a part of a discussion that is for everybody, and they open up the discussion, and then you see Max and you see Dudes.
And they're always interested when I come to pick you up. Mm-hmm. They said, "Oh, is he shooting something today?" You know, it's.
No, they remember Alan.
No, they definitely remember.
Again, and they like me.
What's not to like?
And again,
yeah, what's not to like? They're not relatives. No, just kidding. No, they're. It's everyone likes you. Everyone on Scriptless loves you.
Look,
it's.
First of all, I'm part of it, and they
no,
have
but
my
you're
names.
100 years
they
old.
have my family.
Yeah, we had Mimi, we had Dorothy, we had Kara. We used all those names, right? All the new ladies on the show were either my mom, my sister, my daughter, and it is interesting. And that's the other thing is every character's name in Scriptless is related to something about me.
No. Alan, that's good. You know, really, when you think about it, and it has to be those names stick.
Right, and I remember it. But the other thing is, like Dr. Kazak, when I was on Cagney and Lacey, my partner's name was Kazak. I was Aspermonte, so I wanted to make sure there was a Kazak on the show. So it's interesting. Everything. I mean, who knew? I mean, it's a hobby, but it's a hobby that. Other people are taking it very seriously. The actors take it seriously. They look forward to it. They're upset if they're not in an episode. Very upset. It becomes like traumatic.
Eventually, it's part of their livelihood.
Right.
If certain important people see them.
Well, it would be nice. I mean, but one of the people who is the one who played Mimi, she's an executive. She's a producer. So, and she's part of it, and they're going to start a new production team with Noah and Kim. Her real name was Kim. So, I mean, and these are people who I worked with, like Noah I've worked with. I mean, he and I are colleagues, and we're friends, and that's what it's all about. It's just working with friends. But you know what else it's all about? And there's always the good part about this show, but there's always the bad part. You know what? There's only one thing left to say. Only one thing. Okay?
I know.
That's a wrap. Good night, folks.